Alrighty, so here we have Troll in his alt mode, and that's not a bad looking little monster bot. This is a reissue of a 10-year-old toy, so certainly there are going to be some pros and cons and flaws that you might see, especially when compared to some modern engineering. But overall, he's not bad. And so we're going to start with the critique in this mode, progress into foot mode, and then get into the bot mode. So let's start with the accessories. And clearly, this is the foot of Orden of Abominus, right? But it's not too bad in terms of how it integrates and how it transforms into kind of like this artillery pack. It actually reminds me a lot of Combiner Wars and Perfect Effect. You guys remember Combiner Wars? They were kind of like that guy or gal who, they always look good, but with makeup, you were just like, whoa, they turned heads. And that's what Perfect Effect was. That's what Perfect Effect was for Combiner Wars. Essentially just makeup that made it look better. And this kind of harkens back to the extra accessories. The upgrade kit that that Perfect Effect put out that would transform into additional accessories, and also the foot. That's not a bad looking foot at all. Actually, did I do it the right way? I think so. I mean, it's not exactly like that, but it kind of reminds me of that general gimmick. Sorry about that. I got pulled away. In terms of articulation, it has a left to right, and that's cool, but I wish there was a ratchet on here, because with an abundance of weight bearing down on it, I'm not sure how that thing's going to perform, but we'll have to see. Also, it doesn't have a front and back, and that's a little bit disappointing. It does have a toe... It does have a toe tilt, but later on when Blot is on here, when a Troll is on here, it's not going to be able to pivot this hard. And really, I think it's here more for that artillery mode than it is for a toe tilt. Nonetheless, I will make use of it. It also has some flip-out ports and posts on the bottom so that you can adhere it to his back on the side. And so they're trying to bake in additional play patterns, and we'll see what it can do when we transform into robot mode. But overall, not too bad. Aesthetically, I think it looks very, very nice, very pleasing to the eye. Okay, now looking at Troll himself, there are some interesting things about this. I know I keep saying that, but right now the arms are not configured in the rightful way. You can see the robot bits kind of hanging there, but the reason why I have done this is you get better articulation and a better elbow arm bend with it like this. If you flip it to the other side, and this is the appropriate one because you can see everything is kind of hidden there, you can see that nice detail, and the hands actually flip over, you don't get as much bend. And I don't think that's good. I don't think, I mean, to me at least, I think this is much cooler. This just kind of looked like he's half-stepping, you know what I mean? I mean, I get it, and it looks nice that it's all covered and stuff, but this has way more presence, feels way more animated, and so for me and for my version, I'm always going to kind of have it like this. But hey, your toy, your joy, girl or boy, you do whatever you like, But yeah, and so that's generally how I'm going to have it. But the arm is good. The arm is good. You will notice on the inside, if you haven't already, that there are some hollow bits over here, but it's necessary for the sake of transformation for this guy. And I'm going to be repeating this over and over. It is a 10-year-old toy. Definitely, I'm trying to grade it on a 10-year-old scale. But the arms, there's some interesting things too. Like this back piece right now, later on when it converts into the leg, these will actually swing and change position to the front while this goes into the back. And the way you're going to see the arms kind of collapse and condense on themselves in robot mode, there's just a lot of intelligent things there. And so overall, I'm pretty pleased with how those arms look. And before I forget, a little bit of appreciation into the hands. I like the sculpt a lot, actually. They look nice and grabby, claw-like, almost like one of those Gundams out there. They're all individually articulated on ball joints, and I believe right there, that wrist socket is also on a ball joint. But again, it allows the facilitation of you to spin this around, and so that you can use the claw right side up. And so very, very happy with how that was integrated. Almost glossed over it, but I don't know. I really like the hands a lot, and so I wanted to point that out. Hey, really quick with a commercial break from our sponsor, TFSafari, TFSafari.com. Check them out for all of your mecha needs from first, second, third, fourth party. They also do upgrades as well. You're not going to find a lot of sites that cater to different tastes and needs. TFSafari.com. And if you do go there, utilize the codes that you see on the top right corner of the screen and save yourself a little bit of change, man. They are a very reliable vendor. They are out of China. They ship to you in about 2 weeks, super sturdy boxes. And yeah, TFSafari.com. Can't say enough nice things about them. And so thank you so much, TFSafari, for sponsoring this video. Okay, and making our way downward, I was going to say, I wish this could have been resolved, these hollow bits over here. That's a bit unfortunate. And I was watching Bobby Skullface's video. What's up, Uncle Uncle Bobby. You know, I was going to say, I say Uncle Bobby because that's an affectionate term for him, but I think I'm older than he is. But nonetheless, what's up, Uncle Bobby? And he had mentioned that it would have been great if this dude's mouth had opened. Dude, I can't agree with him enough. You know, seriously, he's 100% correct. It would have made this thing so much better. Just this added small little hinge there, because there's already a bunch of hinge mechanism things going on with this. I feel like they could have baked it in. I feel like they could have got it in there, even if it was just a small little flap on this thing. But either way, that's not the case. But yeah, a bit of an eyesore seeing all of that over there and just all this stuff. But but overall, that's fine. There are some fun things going on with the chest. I like those vents over there. I like the little red and black bits, the accents. Those are all cool. It also has a slider, and I literally just noticed that this fool does not have the panel covering over here. He does on this side, but for whatever reason, they forgot this, and so I'm going to have to reach out to TFSafari, and thankfully their CS is good, and so I'll probably be able to get a replacement relatively soon. But it does go up and down, and it changes based on what mode you're in, and so I think that's smart, and I can really appreciate that. This thing over here as well, these side ribs, they also rotate 90 degrees. They're on a swivel. And again, depending on the mode that you're in, this will kind of facilitate as a gap filler and things like that. And so I feel like I'm saying facilitate a lot, but that's okay. Yeah, overall body's pretty cool. This thing is really clever. This actually hides inside the waist until you actually pull it out. And once you do pull it out, it actually has a function versus just being aesthetically pleasing. This skirt currently right now is locking in these two legs, and later in the leg mode, you'll see that these are going to actually lock into the hip. And so really great stuff, really great stuff. Again, little things here and there that they could have addressed. But yeah, the last thing I'll mention about this kind of torso is I am a little worried about this connection piece. There aren't any buttons to like release any type of locking mechanism. So my concern is that it's just going to be brute force friction that's holding in the combiner part. And I am terrified about that. The one thing that this kit overall lacks, and this is consistent with Hunger, is that just needed that extra polish, just a little bit of extra sheen on it, you know? And unfortunately, it doesn't have that, but I'll still be grateful and thankful for what it does have. But yeah, I am a little bit worried about that. But anyway, that's enough of the torso. Let's talk about the legs a little bit. Yeah, because there's a lot to like about them. All right, the regular jegulars. We'll talk about these. And these all compress up. It's pretty nice, actually. This and this black bit over here will compress together, and they will sit on the outside of this leg. And so, excuse me while I swallow a burp. So this entire bit, it's actually a part of this leg, and the way this comes apart, you'll see it when we do the transformation. It's pretty fun. And this is a foot over here kind of condensing this all down, trying to fill this up. A little bit of a gap over there, but whatever, dude. Especially when you have the accessory, that foot thing over here, you're not really going to see it because it's going to cover it up. But yeah, he does have a little hole over there. A little hole over there. There's ratchets in the legs right over here, nowhere else. And these bits, despite not being on ratchets, the tolerances are really done well. And there's also bits of collision that's going to prevent this from like weebly wobbling around. But this is the crux. This is where the weight is bearing down. And the toes provide some spin movement for some additional perspective. But it's also necessary for the sake of transformation. And so, yeah, nice little tiny little leg. Not bad. I don't know what this is for. Maybe that's actually this piece when you compress it, and I'll see it later on. But yeah, so that's there. But these. Interesting way it's designed. You can see that the waist is over here, so it flips back, and these will all kind of condense on each other. And then later in the foot mode, you will see them kind of flip around and reverse orientation over here. So just a really, really intelligent and fun way of doing it. And again, I've mentioned this in the Abominous video, or no, excuse me, the Hunger video. I feel like these guys pair up with the mainline really, really well, dude. They even use 5mm ports, and so I feel like there's some type of like distant cousin, and it's almost like the main line is catching up to like a masterpiece aesthetic right now after 10 years, and I'm not necessarily mad at that. I'm not. But yeah, overall the engineering is pretty fun. I know I've been talking about it a ton, but why don't we actually go into the foot mode, and I will transform him so you can see all those things that I was talking about, and then we can talk about the foot. Alrighty, Aphrodite. I'm not going to focus on the arms too much right now. I will start with the legs because that's probably the most prominent area that's going to be transforming, and the arms as well, but we'll get to that secondary. First, we're going to lift this up, and I mentioned before that these serve a critical point in basically tabbing these legs in so that it doesn't collapse under its weight, and so we're going to unlock that right now, and you can kind of see right there. It has 2 ports and posts from here. And upon doing that, we're going to unlock and untab the legs from the back. And then what you want to do is you want to flip these up. And ultimately, however you do it, you're trying to kind of like, dude, look at this. He looks like some crazy frog, dude. You're trying to move this around because, again, you need all of this to come to the front. And can you just give me 1 second? I'm sorry about that. It's the end of the day, and there's very few people in the office, but someone was calling me, and I realized I flipped the waist around the wrong way. And so what you're going to do is, you know, so this leg that I mentioned, right? So this toe, you're going to spin it, and you're going to have it collapse, and you're going to hear the cool, right? And then this little bit is going to go back over here, but as you do that, you're bringing this down, and you're preparing this like so. And this, you might feel it kind of getting stuck, but don't worry, it's on a durable piece. And so you're just going to fold that up. And once you do that, there is going to be, you see that little hole right there? Not this one, but the one in the rear. You're going to bring that down and have it plug in. And then this bit, that tab now is going to get locked in place by that. So I think that's really fun. It's just little things like that. I feel like that are just like, oh, very, very, very clever. And so once again, we'll flip the toe around and we'll clock, clock, clock. And then we'll put this back, tab this in, then flip this back around and have that do that, right? And then, dude, are they calling me? No, I'm tripping, dude. So cool. So we're going to do that. And basically, oh, you know what? Before we cinch this all up, let's get the foot in there. And so the foot will actually sit in this tiny little crevice right there. And you got to make sure that the legs are fully bent up and done properly. Otherwise, you will not get the clearance to get that in there. And of course, this will kind of like swing around. So you got to make sure that everything lines up great. That one's good. Beautiful. That one's good. Thank you so much, Toy Gods, for allowing me to do this seamlessly on camera. And after that, we'll bring this down and then we will lock those hips in place and then bring the kneecaps up. And they are on these kind of double hinges. And so you can bring them up until that's flush. That's very, very nice. And then we can bring the robot head down over here. Very, very nice. Actually, you know what? I was going to say, this is kind of tilted backward because I recall, I don't think the robot head can sit fully flush. I think, or maybe it's because I don't have this done. But I recall something about the robot head not being able to sit flush. We'll get to that later because you can see he's kind of at like this weird angle right now. And let me address that off camera. All right, there we go. Sorry, just had to clean that up. As far as the arms go, you are just basically going to bring them back and fold them in on each other. And what you want is you want this to basically tab in with this. And so you can see the corresponding ports and posts over here. And so flip these all around. Just want to make sure you get clearance here. So maybe I got to lift these up. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm still getting used to this guy. And sometimes I will miss little things here and there. Dude, why is this not cinching up? So you'll have to forgive me on that. Just want to make sure that the shoulders are straight. And by the way, this video should release on a Friday if I've done everything right. And if I have done everything right, then there's going to be a live in the evening. And if I've done everything wrong or haven't got the timing, then whatever, dude, just disregard everything that I just said. Then we're going to fix that up. And that's pretty much it. You can see that he's kind of leaning forward right now. And if that's the case, you know, just kind of like make some adjustments on the top part, but that's it. I do wish this part kind of tabbed in a little bit better over here. It doesn't. It's just kind of chilling over there. But overall, that's not a bad foot. And so let's kind of talk about it. Okay. Overall, very, very, very clean. But there are some gaping, empty, negative space areas like this. Wish something could have been done about this. And same thing goes for this area here. When you look at it kind of like this, it exudes so much strength, But the more you kind of look at it, it's like, yeah, all these bits are kind of hollow. This doesn't really fasten anywhere. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wibbly wobbly about it. It's going to hold itself fine. But I do wish it kind of tabbed in over here. But this part, there's kind of nothing. It's just chilling on that thin little piece over there that's going to give it the left and right. And as you can see with the weight on it, it's moving much more freely and it's loose because, again, there's just a lot of weight on it. And as I mentioned before, you're not going to get much with the toe tilt because this is kind of in the way. One thing, though, I have thought of is that if you bring out this bit, you can almost use it as a stand in the event that you are going to tilt the toe up a little bit. You can kind of get an additional support over here. It's probably not meant for that, but nonetheless, dude, we can do whatever we want. But it cleans up nice overall. Yeah, you see the robot arms over here. You see the claws, and you see the other monster claws kind of folded in over here. Overall good, but again, just some of the geometry. Like, I wish there were some designs over here. You know what I mean? It looks just so plain. Just these flat surfaces. Yeah, I wish there was just a little bit more engraving and sculpt work done on those areas, similar to how you like see them on the arms and stuff. That would have been kind of nice. But at this point, honestly, I'm just kind of nitpicking because as a foot, I think that looks really grand, man. It looks really, really nice. Again, I am concerned about what's going to happen once we do plug him in, but that's a problem for another day. And it may not even be a problem. It's just me kind of being paranoid. Overall, I think it's well done. Yeah, everything that I've experienced so far from the accessory game, from the monster mode, from the foot mode, I would give this a solid 7.5. At least a 7, but a solid 7.5 in my book. And we'll check out robot mode and let's see if that average kind of still stands. But we'll transform him now and progress into the bot mode. Okay, cool. So we have this nugget over here, and I like how the arms transform a lot. And we can just kind of bring them up, and this will allow us to release the feet. And we'll just kind of bring that forward. And this we will untab, and so that it unlocks. And then we can just peel. Maybe we can't just peel like I was saying, but we could peel this down. We can also peel this down. And what's going to happen is, once we get some clearance on the arm, you're going to bend that all the way down, which will allow you to do that. That's cool. And you can see the ribs for the robot all filled in. You can bring this back up and you can spin that around and pretty much the feet are done. Cool. Nice, right? And now for bot mode, if you want, you could have him with the claws out, which I think is a pretty cool look. He can do the peace, like, hey, I'm an Asian tourist, yay, peace sign everywhere. That's the thing that's ubiquitous to Asia, dude. Every picture, dude, peace. I mean, like, dude, I do it too. But yeah, you could do that if you want. And of course, I will show you the standard robot mode. The head is really interesting because it has a double fold-out mechanism. That's the first one, and then the second one is right here. Neat, right? And then we just unfold the robot head, spin it around, and really nice sculpt, dude. Really, really nice sculpt. Look at that, dude. The anguish in the mouth. And we can basically fold this back up, and if you wanted, you could have it pointing out, but you can kind of put that back and do that. And that looks pretty cool. But yeah, man, I love the monster arms on him, but we'll give him his standard robot mode arm. And for that, we are going to open this up. You can see that hinge here, right? And so we're going to pop that out. And then from here, we're going to pop this out. And this is going to close up like that. That's so neat. Really, really well done. And we can kind of fold these up or do whatever we want with them. And here, this will lock this in place. And then we'll just bring the arm down. And we will bring the fist down. And that's the first arm. Wasn't that fun? I think so. That was a lot of fun for me. And do the same over here. Pop this open. Pop this guy out. And then bring him to the back. Fold this up. And I'm trying to remember, like, do these... Okay, maybe they don't lock in anywhere. This will just kind of keep it locked in place. You can just fold up the toes, Joes. Then fold out the fist. And there we have Troll in his bot mode. Let me clean him up and then get the focus better, and we'll talk about him. All right, here he is with his accessories attached. I don't think I'm going to use this piece. I mean, yeah, you have things that you can do, but I think it's just going to disappoint me. But let me see if, like, yeah. Like, nah, dude, I don't think this has a place, so I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to ruin my fun. But you can see the sides of the foot, they have been converted into these arm blasters, and I think that is nice. One of the things that I keep mentioning about how he fits into the main line is, like, they have hollow pieces like this, which, again, this fitting on the side of the forearm, 5mm hollow piece, does that not scream mainline to you? You know what I mean? And the same thing for over here. This just feels very Hasbro. Like in another universe, in another lifetime, this could be a Hasbro product, and you can have these over here as well if you wanted. But yeah, scale-wise, I actually think he's not too bad in terms of fitting in with the Generations line. He is a little big, and if I've done the proper editing, you'll see him at the beginning of the video with like Megatron and stuff, so you can kind of see the scale. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad. I am curious to see what the combined mode looks like, the height especially. But anyway. Backpack cleans up nice. It's just chilling here, hanging out. Even though it's not like adhered to this place, the shoulder bits, these things are kind of locking it in place so it's not going anywhere. The waist you saw earlier, it has a nice little swivel on it. And then these kind of like universals, they are on like soft knuckle ratchets. Nothing clickety, but kind of like thuds as you kind of move through them. He does have kind of like a double knee thing over here, and this knee part will also come undone as well as part of transformation, but I don't think it's necessarily meant to do that. But that face is absolutely marvelous. It really looks like one of the Limbots, you know what I mean? It's squarish, but still has that personality. They typically have a visor and a little mouth, and that anguish that it captures on him is just wonderful. It just makes him feel like that little monster guy. And if we wanted, we could bring up that little chest over here too. Neat. You know, give him that attitude. So cool. So cool. You know, I'm going to put it down. But nonetheless, so cool. I do like this thing that sits up that makes it feel like he's wearing some type of like maritime vest or something. And I think that's pretty neat. His torso could be argued that it's a little long, ever so long. But again, it doesn't really bother me too much. I don't know, man. You know, of all the modes, usually of all the bots, usually there's like a mode that I prefer. He does a lot of things right, dude. I think I like him. I know it's going to be a cop-out, but I think I like him in all the modes. I think I do. And right now, if you don't know what I'm doing, I'm trying to do the Optimus Prime pose. I do like him in all of his modes, actually. The bot mode has stuff going for it. The monster form has something going for it. The foot form has something going for it. Hey, wait a minute. Oh, okay, there we go. I was trying to spin it on this piece, but it's over here. And so we got the ye old jump Optimus pose. Not horrible, not too bad, right? And so, yeah, dude, for a 10-year-old toy, it's certainly there. It almost feels like the predecessor of Masterpiece Now, or like Mainline Now, like when those early organisms were emerging from the ocean, and you're like, oh yeah, you can see like, oh, it has eyes, it has like appendages and limbs and stuff, and you recognize these things, you know, and so you can see early like remnants of greatness on this beginning to emerge, and I'm very happy about this. Again, I do feel that it lacks a little bit of finesse. I wish there were some more details in certain areas, like more engraving and sculpts, but overall not bad. And again, if I think of this as fitting into the main line, these hollow bits don't really bother me too much. If I'm thinking this as being like a top line masterpiece figure, of course, I'd be like, yo, what is up with those things? But I don't know. In my book, that average, the 7.5, it hasn't changed. I'm still there. And that's a very, 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 very high number in my opinion. And I think they've done a lot of things quite well, actually. Yeah, very, very pleased with this figure. And so deeply appreciative towards TFSafari for giving me the opportunity to review this. And deeply appreciative towards y'all for watching along as we're just kind of chilling and like having fun. And yeah, deeply appreciative towards the universe for kind of giving me this opportunity and putting me in this place. And yeah, just feeling very grateful and thankful to everyone as I kind of pose them to say sayonara and goodbye to everyone. I will talk to y'all very soon, okay? And also, if you watch this deep, this late into the video, consider signing up for membership. Also, it's just an experiment. I may do away with it, but for the time being, sign up for the membership. $3 a month, 10 cents a day, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, bye.